Bandwidth for First Updates Now is supported by AndyMark. Are you competition ready? Go to andymark.com and keep your team inspired. And by the Blue Alliance. Keep up to date on all live and archived First Robotics events and team stats at thebluealliance.com. First Updates Now is brought to you by viewers like you. Fun relies on the generous support of our fans in order to continue to keep creating content. Please consider donating, giving bits, or subscribing. Subscribe for a few bucks a month or for free through Twitch Prime. And don't forget that our subscribers get 5x chance to win on all giveaways. Well, good evening, everybody, and welcome to a very, very special edition of the recap show. Guys, it's Houston. Houston Championships are coming up. We can't wait for it to come. Man, this is going to be a great competition here. So many good teams coming up. So with that said, the Houston Preview Show, we're going to break down each division. It's going to be in alphabetical order. So if you figure that, well, that's counting, so not quite that. But if you can figure it out, it will be in alphabetical order for the divisions. We can't wait to have you on. Reporting for First Updates Now, I'm Tyler Olds, and we have some amazing panelists who are from our region recap shows from all over the world, really. We got people from Mexico and from the United States as well, too. No Canadians, because, they're not allowed south of the border anymore. But with that said, let's go ahead and introduce everybody. If you don't mind just saying your name, which show you're on, if you want, and if you're with a team or you do something first, do that as well. So Lino, let's start with you.
Hey, I'm Lino. I'm usually a volunteer at Efforts Events, and I'm also coaching 4635.
Anna? Hi, I'm Anna. I am also a volunteer for 5 years now, and I am part of FRC. Yep.
All right, I'm Clint Ott. I'm from Best of the West. I'm a mentor on Team 1619.
All right, I'm PJ. I'm one of the hosts for Infimidation, and I'm a referee.
All right, and I'm Dan. I'm from Best of the West, and I'm a 2451 alumni.
I don't think you're from Best of the West.
Or wait, no, I'm from Weed Fort. Hang on, wait a minute.
He wishes he was.
I was going to make a joke about Best of the West, and that's why it was in my mind.
And
yeah,
look
were
what
going
happened.
to, but you can't.
All right, you know what? Yeah, let's just keep going.
Ta-da!
Hey, guys, before we start today, by the way, we do want to ask, encourage, beg, whatever we have to do. There is a huge bit sales going on right now in Twitch. If you are a Prime subscriber, so if you have Amazon Prime, first up, you get a free subscription to First Updates Now. That gets us a couple bucks, which is awesome. And right now, for 99 cents, you can get 500 bits. That gives us $5. So you give 99 cents, we get $5. It's worth a $7 value. We would really appreciate if we could just go a whole crap ton of that today, because that'd be freaking sweet. But with that said, if you can also support our shows if you love it through subscribing, donations, anything to do, just tell people about it. The more people we get, the bigger community we build, and we thank everybody for all their support, guys. This has been a fantastic season so far. We keep growing more and more, which means I keep neglecting my job more and more, but hey, we love to give you a great show, the best that we can. So with that said, during the show, we are going to see some awesome stats together. I want to give a big shout out to JC from Australia and our Australia recap show for putting together some of these awesome different statistics that we're going to be showing as well. So before we jump in to the division previews, and Carver is going to be our first one, I kind of want to do a little roundtable here, guys, and Clint, we'll start with you. Just general thoughts about Houston coming in. What excites you the most? What are you not excited for? And if you are with a team, what your team's looking most forward to?
Yeah, so definitely, Houston last year, it was the first year for the event here. There was a lot of hiccups, from load in to load out. There was some problems, but I think first to address a lot of those issues, they've tried to recreate the championship experience by the new field layout. For some idiotic reason, they created this pit randomization scheme. No idea what they thought was behind that, but
because why do you need to find people ever?
Yeah, not important at all, right? Yeah. But as far as the divisions go, I think I'm super stoked for all the division lineups. I think every division's got a chance to make it deep. There's lots of great teams in every division, so I'm excited to see what you guys have to say about each one, and then obviously excited to talk about new.
I'm really excited for the whole pit management way that they're all like crowded up now on like a corner, and we have like the fields together, just like we had in St. Louis, that we could see many fields no matter where you were on the stands. So I think that's going to be great. One thing I'm going to miss is that last year when I was with 4635, something pretty cool was that we didn't take almost no time on cue. So I hope that actually transitions to the new way the fields are built.
Yeah, from my point of view, I am also really excited because I think the teams have really good strategies, and this games or like qualification match is going to be so good. And also, I'm excited because I'm from Mexico, and I think that a lot of Mexican teams are really good, and probably we might see a Mexican team in Einstein this year. So that's my hope.
Yeah, there's a good shot, right, Anna? Who are you most looking forward to? Because there's a couple good ones out there.
Yeah, well, first of all, it's like 3478 Lambots, which is my previous team, like my alma mater, and I don't know, I'm really excited. They have different strategies. They have developed this whole like system of scouting. So yeah, I'm really rooting for them to go to Einstein this year.
Absolutely. So with that said, guys, we're going to jump right into our preview starting out. So our first one's going to be Carver. So we're going to jump into Carver, and we'll put out, by the way, some great resources, guys. Of course, the Blue Lions. This frc.divisions.co site is pretty badass. But I do want to point out something that, Carver, in the flawed OPR scheme this year sits right in the middle of the pack. But according to divisions.co, apparently has no notable teams, which I'm not sure if I agree with that. And I'm not sure if the teams in Carver with their 24 blue banners that are just for event wins agree with that either. So with that said, let's take a look at some of the teams on Carver. And you might recognize them. I'm going to call this the P&W division, but there are some other good teams as well, too. But we got 16, 341, 342, 343. Wow. 1425, 1477, 1690, 2811, 2910, 3132, 5499, 5805, and 6502. Now, there are other teams out there. We're always going to miss some as well. So during this, we're going to take you through, everybody's going to call a little bit different, but I'm going to take the kind of old looking forward route of doing locks, tips, and then a couple, maybe one dark horse for you that maybe you didn't think about previously as well. So I do want to bring up, we do have some statistics for each of our divisions. So on Carver, these are made by JC here. You can see some cool stuff in regards to the average switch owned, average scale owned, and where they kind of get from value on there. And I'm just going to scroll through some of these as we're talking about some of the teams. Now, with that said, I do want to start out with some of our tips. These are teams that are, I call them tier 2 teams. They're pretty close to the top, but not quite. They're not quite the locks to win a division, in my opinion. It's always going to be a little bit different opinions for each one. But with that said, let's start out with our first team here. That's going to be team number 1425. This is a really fast scoring machine. I'm going to bring up one of their videos here, and I'm kind of pulling double duty, so bear with me. But a really fast scoring machine from P&W. I do question their auto, as I've only seen the consistency of one switch, and that's the team that's in the lower, the left side here, moving up to the top. It's a team that has a pretty great teleop, but their auto, we're seeing one cube out of it, and I really haven't seen any scale out of them as well. I like their pick and place game. I believe if they can increase their acquisition consistency, that they're going to be in really good shape. This team could see hide, as they do have the iron cross ramps, as I call them, for picking up other robots. So it'll be interesting to see if this team can kind of really pick it up. We're also going to call this, as I mentioned with P&Ws before too, our tips are all P&W teams because they're all really close to the top in this division as well. Our next one that I want to jump into is going to be team number 2811. Team number 2811 is a really great team that's had a lot of success this season as well. And I'm going to bring up their matchup here from the lake. Is it Oswego or Oswego? Clint, you might know that.
I think it's Oswego.
I think you got quizzed on that prior, right?
I think so, yeah.
I'm pretty sure it's Oswego, actually.
Whoa.
You're from Illinois, so maybe that's the Illinois way of saying it.
Well, that means it's the right way.
Shut up, Dan.
Yeah, whatever the hell that means, right?
God.
So, All right, let's move on. So the Stormbots. With that said, let's bring them up on the screen here. By the way, thank you everybody for bits so far. By the way, but Stormbots winner at Sendome, winner at Oswego, Clackamas, however you pronounce, how PNW does it, where they're from. And then at the PNW District Championships, they were knocked out in the quarter, so a little bit early of a knockout for them. They're kind of my opposite look, right, of what 1425 is. So consistently able to get a cube and auto on the scale. They are kind of slow with it, but their placement accuracy has been good. But I want to see them get a little bit more in the driver practice. They really haven't had to do much more than the kind of level 2 area with their robot. So I'm curious to see with more driver practice and more time if they can get a little bit faster in their teleop, because it's a little slow right now for what I'm looking for a top tier bot. But overall, I think it's a fantastic team, and that's team number 2811. Our next PNW team that we're going to be talking about, I feel like this is an FRC Top 25 skit that I'm doing right now. Our next PNW team that we're going to be talking about is team number 2910. So 2910, like I said, lots of PNW in this, guys, because there's a lot of these teams that are really close to the top, not quite exactly at the top, but man, are they close. So 2910... this is a team, Jack in the Bot, that I've had my eye on a lot. And Clint, I know you guys have talked about a lot on the Best of the West region recap here. But 2910, man, this team is fast. Man, able to do what? If you watch them, they're in the middle of the screen right now in red. And just able to do their auto efficiently. I believe that we can see a 2-cube scale auto from this team, and 2-cube switch auto. So it's starting to develop for them. We're starting to see a lot of great scoring for them as well, but I really like this team a lot. I think this team is really, really close to being a lock in this division, even though they had an early exit at PNW with 2 unfortunate misses, and honestly, they had some kind of slow alliance partners at PNW Chance, which I think did them in. But this might be the best teleop bot in Carver, honestly. They are really fast, really efficient. They're scoring a lot of really great opportunities that they have on the field. If you just watch that sword drive that they have, they can negotiate the field with ease. And, sword drives, it's kind of interesting because I'm back and forth on the sword drives are right for this game, but Jack in the Box does it right, and that's what's important, and that's what matters for this as well. So I can't wait to see how they're going to do, and I can't wait to see if they could be potentially a really good pickup for one of the locks that we're going to be going into in just a little bit. And I'm going to apologize as I switch over. I know my camera's messed up. Go ahead, Clint.
Yeah, Tyler, I think you're 100% right. If you exclude maybe Autonomous and the end game, I don't think that there's a better robot in this division.
Yeah.
If, they won't seed first. I don't think there's any question about that. But whoever does seed first definitely needs to take a look at 2910. We've been following them all year on Best of the West. This robot is a monster at the stacking game. Super precise cube placement, very great cube acquisition. I think it'd be a huge miss if they don't go in one of the top 2 picks of this division.
Yeah, and with that said, out of the PNW teams, I do think this is my favorite team out of them. I mean, we're going to be talking about one more in just a moment too, but just watching this team negotiate the field, man, it looks so slick. And look at their climb here, just really quick. They do take up, I think, the entire bar. But overall, I love them. I think this team really has it going, and I think they're going to do a really good job moving into hopefully the finals later on as well. So, by the way, I know my camera's out as we transition back. So, the last team I want to talk about in my tips area is going to be team number 5803. Once again, keeping up with the amazing PNW teams. That's Apex Robotics. This team had a high peak early on. Right away. They looked really good starting out. You're going to see them on the screen here that they're the team that is on right now on the far side of the screen in the middle. Apex has a really interesting intake mechanism. Actually, Clinton, it reminds me a little bit of your team on Up a Creek Robotics, where their intake's pretty slick overall. A couple concerns with cube acquisition, but look at how they place cubes on there. They're kind of this combination shooter scale placement bot, not elevator thing, but it rises up high enough on the scale anyway. So Apex is a team for me that I think shows a lot of upside, especially in qualification rounds with their climber. And by the way, I just need to hold up for just a second here, guys, because usually I don't stop stream. But CMC Brad 166 just tipped 2,000 bits, and that's badass. Thank you so much, man, for all that. And thank you, everybody, for all their bits so far. So moving back into Apex, thank you, CMC Brad. Really appreciate it. I am a little bit concerned about their playoff hopes, as they lack the ability, in my opinion, to accurately place on the scale past level 1. So I'm a little bit concerned about what they're going to be doing. They could switch the Switch easy enough, I think, but as a top team, I don't know if I'm going to be looking for that exactly. So I'm a little bit concerned for Apex and how that looks out for them, but I think they concede well. I think their climber holds really well because they climb on the side or kind of in the side area that you're going to see here in just a few seconds. And so with Apex, it's kind of interesting. Like, I think they're going to be one of those teams where either they need the seed high or they might drop to kind of 6, 7, or 8, and that could kind of be that danger zone for them. So I'm not sure, Clint or anybody else. You guys have any comments on Apex Robotics?
I'm definitely on the same page as you. Sorry, not to steal
Go
Clint's
ahead.
thunder, but it's my concern with any shooter robot. Like the advantage of the shooter is on the first level, and it's in speed. It's like usually they can lay down that first layer much faster than an ARM bot in most cases. But then the problem is past that first layer, I haven't seen a shooter bot that's consistent at all past layer 1.
But that's okay though, because if you can get that first layer done quickly and then just force your opponents have to keep up, then you can go to start playing some Switch games. And shooters are usually some of the best Switch robots in the competition. So as long as you are keeping to do what you're good at, I think you can still go far.
Yeah, I think where Apex will get in trouble is if they get into this situation where their strategy calls for them to do high stacks. I think, Dan, you're right. If they can stick with cube acquisition playing into the Switch when the stacks get above level 1, maybe level 2, I think they'll do okay. But when it's, those 10, 12, 14 cube high stacks, like, the We the North stream was talking about just earlier, 610 struggled at Ontario District Championships because of that. I think that's exactly where 5803 is going to struggle.
All right, let's move on to our locks for this division. Then we're going to do our dark horse for this as well. So the first lock I got to bring up, I think this is an obvious one for everybody, but this is going to be team number 16, the Bomb Squad. Wow, this team is just, they came out, and I have to admit, I had some questions about their team when they had the release video. It was a little questionable on their elevator and a little questionable on their ramp, but this team overall has been pretty lights out. Winners of the Rock City Regional, I believe, and then the Midwest Regional just a couple weeks ago. Their auto, they do best on the 2 scale auto. They do have 2 switch auto, my apologies. They do have a scale auto, but you'll see in this match that they left at the Ponage, who they partnered with here. But of course, the Kings of the Sword Drive, and in my opinion, the team that is most likely to get 4 RP every match and most consistently able to get 4 RP every match. They just look good on the field. I mean, the way that they negotiate, the way that they acquire their cubes, overall looks really good. And plus, they have experience placing on level 2 and level 3 on the scale. In my opinion, actually, I think 16 might need to slow down a little bit. When you see them place on level 2, level 3, they're going just a little bit too fast for my taste. And maybe they just need to slow down that placement, stop the robot first, and then slow it down. And I think that's going to be their best bet to really move deep in the playoff rounds. One thing, though, I will say, and I noticed this at Midwest, and I didn't even notice this first, it looked like that Ponage didn't really climb their ramp too often because they had some clearance issues possibly. So I'm curious about when they do their scouting at championships, if they do seed high, if they're going to have to look in the teams that might have any clearance issues of climbing their ramp. And that will be interesting to see how that turns out for them with this as well. But 16 to me is the number 1 lock to take this division and the seed first. So at least get their pick of the litter. So it'll be interesting. Next one I want to bring up here is going to be team number 1690, Orbit Robotics. Now, you might say, wait a second, Tyler. It's a little weird to talk about a team that hasn't won an event in 2 years to be a district team or to be a district team coming in that could potentially win a division. And I'm going to tell you that if you don't think that 1690 is a top tier team, you are clearly delusional, because this team absolutely kicks ass. Last year they broke in the division finals. They were knocked out. 2016 they were world finalists. This team knows how to perform well at championships. while they still haven't mastered a 2-cube scale auto yet, this team is fast and efficient. A great elevator that works with precision pick and place. And Teleop is where 1690 really shines in the heat of competition with the ability to consistently place 10 cubes on the scale each match by themselves. If you watch some of their previous matches, yeah, they got knocked out of the finals a couple times. But to me, I think they've gotten a lot better over time. They weren't as consistent early on, but I think their consistency has improved a bit. And I think they're going to keep getting more and more consistent a bit more as well. It doesn't mean that 1690 is perfect. They need to perfect their 2-cube auto, and they need to shore up their level 3 cube placements on here as well. But they are starting to get some experience with this. I think they're going to do it, and I think 1690 looks right for another Einstein run, and I can't wait to see them play. So we're going to wrap up. I'm sorry, did anybody have anything on 1690? All right, I'm going to wrap up here talking about my dark horse for this division. This is a team that maybe you haven't really thought about too much, but man, they get my most improved team award of the year, and that's going to be team number 4265, Secret City Wildbots. This is a team that is going to fly under the radar, maybe until now, but look at this here. Coming out, they didn't even make the playoffs in their first event. They come to the Smoky Mountains Regional, and they are picked by the number 1 seed. 2-cube auto coming out of the gate right there, guys. And that's what it's about, that I think that this team is going to be just a steal of a pick, unless they end up seeding well. But I think right now people just don't know about this team. They were Einstein finalists in 2015, but it's the 4th robot in the Alliance. So not really a team that you would think about too much for something like this, but consistently able to get 1 cube on skill and auto. I really hope they practice their pick and place, because the one downside of Secret City Wildbots is experience. And that's because the regionals they went to didn't really require more than 8 or 9 cubes to win a match on the scale. So it's going to be really interesting to see if they can place on level 2 or not. So it'll be really interesting to see how that works out. But they are my dark horse pick for this division. With that said, I'm going to wrap up with just a couple predictions on this, and if anybody else has anything to say about this division, go ahead. But max schedules can make or break. I do really see 16 seeding first overall. I think with their strategy, I think 4RP is not out of the question for almost every match. I predict that they're going to have a 3.65 around that for their RP. I don't even know if that's possible with how many matches are being played, but that's currently about what I had them at. So I do believe a perfect complement to them will be whoever can score 2 cubes consistently on the skill and auto. So I'm really looking for, I think their first pick is going to be 2910 Jack in the Bot. I think that's who's going to pair up with them. I think Jack in the Bot is an amazing team. Like I said, just missed my lock because of a couple of their inconsistencies, but I think they're going to ramp up a bit more. Them in 1690, we're kind of back and forth, but I think Jack in the Bot is the best pick for 16 if they decide to go that way, and I think they're going to be your Carver Division champions.
Put all the swerve drives together.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Right, man? So anybody else want to talk about Carver?
Yeah.
Anybody else want to jump in for Carver, or are we moving on?
I'm good.
Looks like we're moving on.
Let's move on, Lino.
Yep.
All right, so it looks Galileo's up next. And honestly, Galileo, the first time I looked at it, I was like, wow, this is a pretty fun division for Houston Champs. We have so many notable teams. Some of them that are actually in Divisions.co are 4910, 1986, 4613, and 6429. However, this division is pretty cool because it's full of robots ranging from switchbots to robots that shoot on the scale. And we have a total of 18 teams that have actually won an event. Another 15 of them have been finalists. So this means that there has been many teams which come with competitive experience. And honestly, like the entire division is just filled with really good over average robots. So the way I'm going to highlight some of them, which I chose, I had some trouble selecting some of them because, as I said, this division is packed with good robots. The first one I chose as my lock was 1986. 1986 Team Titanium, well, they started a bumpy start on Great Northern Regional. Team Titanium then finished up ranked number 1 on their next 2 events. This was thanks to their ability to lift in their partners during match. I think that if they continue this consistency, we will see them on the top rankings of these divisions like we have on past events, and we can improve on their playoffs strategies. I think that they have a great robot, and they just need to refine those playoffs strategies to be able to get to those finals on the event. Another great team that we have in the division is 330, the Beach Buds. They have shown a strong season. They were a multi-regional winner. They won both events, which was Los Angeles and Aerospace Valley. Both events, they were first pick. Something really interesting about them is that they weren't like the number 2 seed. They were actually number 8, number 7. And if I recall correctly, this is because they don't lift other robots, but their autonomous routines during plays have been a great advantage for the alliance they're on because they can hit the scale and even put 2 cubes, if I'm correct. I don't know if anyone can confirm me that. And then we have also another great robot from California, if I'm right, the Funky Monkeys 846. They have shown a strong run also throughout all the seasons. They were winners at the Hub City Regional and finalists at the Silicon Valley Regional, a really competitive regional. I think 846 has seen a lot of high-level play matches, and this division should be what they are expecting from Silicon Valley to transition to this division will really help them a lot. I think they're placing really wisely on their matches. I don't know if you can see right there on this match. They did some amazing cube placement, and they know how to tip the scale on the right way by setting those cubes on the best corners and stuff like that. Another team I would like to highlight is 3305. They were finalists at Dallas, and they also won Colorado Regional. Something really nice of the Robot Chargers of this regional is that they're being really versatile. They can basically like go anywhere on the field. They can be shutting down the opponent's switches. They can play the exchange, and they can do really good scale. So whatever alliance they end up, it's going to be a great one, and it's going to be one to look out at the playoffs.
Yeah, I can agree with both your 846 and your 30-5. We played with 846 in Hub City. Great team. They have all the scouting they need. They definitely have ramped up their game when they went to their second event. 3005 kicked our ass at Colorado. They are a great team. They play the switch as well as they play the scale. So both those teams, I think you're right, are definitely locks in this division.
Yeah, they're big teams to look out for, and they've gone to really some of the biggest competitive regionals. So I think they're going to come all prepared for this regional. Another team I wanted to highlight is 4910, which is actually like one of the ones that appears on the FRC Division website. ISCOP Robotics is currently like the first robot to pop out there. And when you see them on Galileos, I think this is because of their consistency. They won 2 district events. And if you haven't seen their machine, you should check it out. It's a great machine. It's simple. It can climb. It can do all the basic tasks. And it can complement into any alliance. They can climb in the corner of the scale, so that means that there isn't that much issue, and they can do double climbs with our alliance partners. So whichever robot gets with them, they can set up a really nice strategy, knowing that they can work on many parts of the field. I also would like to mention 4613 Barker Redbacks. They've been one of my favorite robots this season ever since I saw their robot reveal. This is due to their shooter robot. I think it's been one of the most successful ones. And I think the Redbacks could have a shot of winning this division if they can accommodate right in the right alliance at playoffs, so they can use the robot to the max potential. Some issues I've seen is that the switch bots get a little weaker after doing the first layer of the scale. So I think Redbacks have to find a way to play after the first layer has been done. Maybe going to the opponent's switch, working next the exchange. We'll see what they do. And another team I wanted to highlight is one from Mexico, 4635 Budbusters. They've been improving throughout the season progress. Thanks to their consistency, they've been getting all those switch auto ranking points in their last regional. They finished with a record undefeated of 17 wins and 0 losses. And for the division, I think they're going to be just a consistent robot trying to secure those ranking points. So we're going to see them probably on the top 10 spots. And finally, but not least, one great team, actually 2 of them. It's going to be Miskar and Steampunk, 1574 and 1577. They team up together and won the Israel District Championship. And once again, they're together on this division. These 2 robots have been doing amazing at Israel scene, and both of them have been able to get those 4 ranking points. Both of them have different ways to lift the second robot. Miskar has a really creative body bar, while Steampunk, if you've seen the Robonuts robot, it's kind of like that, their lift style. So we can expect them to rank really high on the division thanks to those body bars and climbing mechanisms. I don't know if anyone wants to add anything.
Yeah, Lino, I'll jump in. I am 100% all in on 1577 this year. I think their robot is absolutely fantastic. It is super efficient. Miskar is good. I think Miskar has always been good, but I think 1577 is where it's at this year. That, as you mentioned, their buddy climb that they have is lights out. Is just as good as 118s, and the rest of their pick and place mechanisms have been great. So I am all in on 1577 this year.
Yeah, I actually hadn't researched them beforehand, and when I did, I was impressed. And they're an awesome team, and I'm looking forward to seeing them at Galileo.
I'm all in on Israel in general because I know Tyler. I know you talked about one in Carver, and then between Miskar and Steampunk, I've been watching some of the Israeli D champs matches, and I think Israel teams are starting to get to that next level.
Oh yeah,
For sure. I mean, before you would
Wait,
hear
what
about
changed this year?
6090 and 3339, but now you're hearing about a lot more Israeli teams, so it's very interesting to
Districts,
see.
man. They started doing districts last year, right? And,
Yeah, last year.
2 years ago, I think. But
yeah, well, so this year, this season, the previous season.
Yeah.
yes, I believe so.
Yeah, and it's just made a huge difference, and you can tell. I mean, your options before, if you're an team from Israel, and I was just talking to somebody from 1577 a little bit earlier, is your options are you go to the Israel regional, and then you have to travel 5,000 miles to go somewhere else, right? So it's amazing to see how the play has evolved.
yeah, it's a great competitive regionals. I never seen one of them live because I think they're on really strange hours. But I've seen replays, and they're great. Their strategies sometimes you can actually base your strategy off the Israel's strategies because they're awesome. Still, up next on the list, I have a team I would like to give a shout out because I've been following them throughout all the season. That's going to be Team 3937, Breakaway. Team Breakaway has been ranking high on both of their regionals. However, they have not been able to get that blue banner this year. They were finalists at Arkansas, and I think they got eliminated at Bayou on semifinals. I think that Team 3937 could improve on their scale out, and they could be a huge threat for playoffs for whatever alliance they are. And finally, but not least, we have the dark horse. I think that a really big dark horse in this alliance is going to be 2468, Team Appreciate. It's one of those niche robots.
How does that number go again?
2468?
2468. Come on, Lino, get with it.
Yeah.
Yes.
Why it's
2468. Team Appreciate is one of those niche robots.
You're gonna make chat freak out.
Yes.
I'm sorry.
For the time.
I literally, my phone's gonna ring in like 5 minutes. I know it.
So I think it's one of those robots that you stumble in competition, which is really fast for switching and exchange. They've been doing them at both of their events, and they were finalists at El Paso. I think that they could be a strong robot if they get on the right alliance for playoffs, and whoever gets them on their alliance, they're going to have probably the best switch and exchange bot on the event. And closing up, I think that for predictions, I think we will see 1986 once again taking the number one seed. This is mostly because I think 1986 has the most friendly way to climb other robots. Their ramps are easy to get to, I think. But I think we will totally see Israel, like 1577, Steampunk, trying to get that second seed. And I feel that picking wise, for these two teams, it's going to depend a lot on autonomous and the consistency of autos on the event.
So, Lino, let me ask you. So, 1986, they had a bit of a stumble at the Seven Rivers Regional, right? So they lost in the quarterfinals against the number 8 Alliance. They were with Argos, another great, fantastic team. So, what does 1986 have to change, though, to ensure that same thing's not going to happen again, that they don't seed first and just get knocked out in the quarters right away?
Well, I think that, Seven Rivers and this event are going to have really different second pick robots and third picks. And I think 1996 will have to work strategy-wise more with their second pick and seeing them where they can actually do more damage to the opposing alliance. Because, on Seven Rivers, I think the 8 Alliance had a great strategy because they were lucky enough to get 3 scale bots. And this will probably be the same scenario for this division because we have a pack of good robots in the scale. And I'm not sure actually if 1986 will get a second pick of a scale bot. So that will be interesting to see how 1986 coordinates with whoever is their alliance partners. And I think another important thing is securing those scale autos. They have to start the match with an advantage since the beginning.
Yeah, I'm actually friends with Titanium's old driver right now, and so they have a brand new driver this year. And I think one of the issues is he's just not used to playing in eliminations yet, so he might be a little bit. He might be having a little bit of trouble just staying cool.
Well, he better be used to it now. It's championships.
Yeah,
I don't know if that's going to help it at all.
Season, man.
First year driver problems, you know.
Yeah, we actually, like, for example, the team I'm coaching, the 4635, they're in their first event. It was, I think, also playoff stress. They got stuck in the scale and they got like 150 points in tech fall. So yeah, it happens.
Yeah.
Yes.
Oh, sorry. Yes, so I'm talking about Hopper, and just a fun fact, she was born in New York City, which is my favorite city, and that's why I decided to do this division. But, oh man, when I started looking at the teams, it's crazy because all of the teams here are, first of all, international, and they are good. Like, either they rank really high in their regionals, they were finalists. So yeah, we can really expect big scores in almost every match. And yeah, like I said, there are like over 23 regional winners in this division and 22 regional finalists. So first of all, I would like to talk about Team 180, Spam. And they were finalists at their first event, and then they won their second event. Even if they were selected or like they ranked at 17, they were first picked by Team 179. So their shooter bot is going to be something really interesting to see on the division, especially how they will handle the cube placement. Like, as we have seen during this whole season, placing the cubes is like a must. Like, you need to know how to do that in order to balance your scale and not lose power over it. And now I would like to talk about Team 973 Greybots. And they have won so far all their events, even if they were seated on number 20. And they were first picked by their outer capabilities. So if they can get more consistent on getting those ranking points, they will have a big contender for a big spot or like a top spot in this division. I don't know if some of you want to talk about this team, or should I just go to the next one?
I actually want to add something. I think that, well, this division is packed with like the top powerhouses probably. Well, we have 254, we have 973, as you were saying. I think something really important.
Spoilers, dude. Come on, bro.
Don't ruin it.
Oh, no. Yeah, because divisions aren't out, right? And so I think something 973 has to work also on quals is where to get those cubes for the scale. To be able to, whichever alliance they go against, they need to know from where to grab the cubes, because those middle cubes are going to be really important on this division.
Yeah, I guess so. But
I'm stealing all the thunder here. Like, geez.
Yes, and then moving on to a dark horse could be Team 1706, the Ratchet Rockets. They haven't won any event this season, but they've been finalists at the two events they competed this season. So I think that if they can improve their strategy, they can surely probably win the division or like kind of build a good alliance. So yeah, I will totally root for them. Yes.
And I think this is a fantastic pick for a dark horse, because I think they're a team that has fallen way under the radar. And they ran into 16 24 51. They actually beat them in the first match of the Midwest Regional. And I think this team actually could definitely fly under the radar, and unfortunately might end up as a second round pick. But I think they could end up in a really good position later on, and I think a team's going to get a steal with them. Not saying that they don't deserve to be picked first round, but I think that just might be the way it works out. So I think it's a great pick by you.
Yeah, no, 1706 is amazing this year. They just got very unlucky, both their competitions, but their double hinged arm is amazing.
Yes, I mean, I think they have a big potential and they have proven it. Like being a finalist is not easy. So yes, like I'm rooting for them to be in one alliance for the finals. And then I want to talk about Team 3339 Bumblebee. And this is a team from Israel who competed in 3 different events. I mean, some of the district events and then the championship at Israel. And they ranked 4 in these 2 district events. So the first one they lost in quarterfinals. But by the next event, I think they kind of improved their strategy so they were able to build a better alliance, and then they had won the second event. And then for the district championship in Israel, they lost in semifinals. But I think that for Houston, they are ready. I think they have discussed about it. They already have like 3 events of practicing and how to do things. So yeah, I think that they can surprise us in this year and this championship in Houston. And now I want to talk about the top teams. And first of all is Team 148, the Robo-Wranglers. This is like my favorite team, and I'm always amazed at how they plan their strategy, and they show it in their robot. So during this season, they've been doing awesome, ranking either first or second, and always winning. So yeah, they can literally they have this system so they can do the ranking points for climbing. And yeah, it will not be surprising if they win this division and then go to Einstein. I don't know if you want to talk about this team.
Yeah, I had the pleasure of playing with 148 at Colorado, and this team has their act together for sure. I don't think that's a surprise to anyone in the FRC community. People have been leery about their robot wrangler climbing system. You know, systematically, it's actually very simple, not actually that hard on teams' bumpers, which was a big fear at the early part of the season. But I tell you what, this I think you're 100% correct. This team is a lock in this division. They're so good at all aspects of the game. Their autos are fantastic. Their climbing is fantastic, and I think they'll go deep for sure.
Yes. Also, another good team could be, or like, is Team 359, the Hawaiian Kids. And they have won 3 regionals these seasons. And they have an amazing machine that has been ranking high and just winning events all season. So they have a really good ability to climb other robots. So it will be something to look out for them to keep to being on those top ranks. Like I said, this division has a lot of winning teams, so it's going to be amazing.
So 359 to me, I think has good potential because of their 4RP capability. I'm a little, I'm not 100% on their scoring for a top seed. And a little insight too, they actually collaborated their robot with 2826 Wave Robotics this year, who is also going to championships and has a good robot as well. I'm a little curious on their pick and place speed of how quick they do that. So it'll be interesting to see. I mean, I love 359. I have a great relationship with Glenn Lee from them. But with that said, I'd like to be upfront that I'm a little curious on if they're going to be able to see the top, even with the 4RP potential that they have. It'll be interesting to see how their schedule works out.
Yeah, and then I'm leery because yes, they've won their 3 regionals this year, but like you look at what regionals those were, and none of them are particularly like they didn't have to go through a lot of talent to win these regionals.
Exactly.
Like they went to Montreal, Hawaii, and Canadian Rockies, which like you look at the teams that went to those regionals and you're like you haven't heard of any. Like they won with Taters, they won with Hawaii, they won with people I've never even heard of. And then they won with
that's just you being ignorant, PJ. There's no excuse.
Actually, no. Actually, I have heard. Well, one of them's a Michigan team, so like even worse. Now that I look at it, but yeah, they won with Raid Zero from Taiwan, and then a Michigan team. But anyway, so but those are all very weak events. But I mean, not to say that their robot isn't good or that they won't do well. It's just I'm leery of like, yes, they've won 3 regionals, but I almost put more stock in somebody like 1706, who was finalist at 2 very strong regionals, than somebody like 359. But that's just my opinion.
Yep, opinions are.
Yep.
But I think that's about it for the division, Adam. We don't need to talk about any more teams.
Nope, I think that's it.
Yeah.
Yep.
Let's move on.
I think we're good.
Yeah.
Nobody else.
Bye. No, I mean, we have one final team to talk about. This is 254, the TC Pups. And oh man, like they haven't lost a match this whole season. It's just awesome. This is a Hall of Fame team. And I think one of the most famous teams in FRC. And from our perspective, they are respected by the whole community. And I mean, they are going to Hopper undefeated, as they said. And I mean, I think they're going to be kings in this division. They're going to kill. They're going to do some awesome matches, you know.
Real
like,
violent,
well,
apparently.
sorry, like not kill literally, but I mean, I think they are looking to go to Einstein undefeated and literally win Einstein again this year undefeated. Like, yes.
I really do think 254 can have the perfect season. I think they can.
I don't know.
If any robot can, it's this one for sure.
Yeah.
Yes. And to talk about a little bit of predictions for this alliance, well, I mean, I think 254 will rank first, and then the Robo Wranglers in second. And I mean, there are going to be 3 logs, as I said before. And at the finals, I don't know, it's going to be so difficult. I don't know what's going to happen because these teams are amazing. The whole division has winning teams and teams that are really doing good. So I think Hopper will be on fire again, not literally, but I love it. I love this division. There are teams from Turkey, Canada, Israel, China, USA, Mexico, and they really have really high ranking. So yeah, let's see what happens. My bet is like 254 will go to Einstein.
Yeah, as long as none of
sure.
their alliance partners don't knock over any stacks or anything like that, I think they'll be in good shape.
Yikes.
973.
Or, you know, they tether without asking and get a red card.
Oh.
Oh. Not that ever happened.
It's always easy to make fun of the ones who do so well, right?
So
All right, we're going to take a short break here. Thanks for analysis so far. And we're just going to take a couple minutes because I know we're running behind. But we do want to talk about Einstein this year. Finals of Einstein, the change that's been made that apparently first couldn't get out of their contract and now still says, hey, we still have to have some matches at these large venues. And I'm curious to get your guys on a round table here. And Clint, we'll start with you. Is that we're going to be seeing divisional Einstein matches or divisional finals, Einstein matches all the way up to finals at either the George R. Brown or the Cobo Center. And then we're taking a break and then just doing Einstein finals and culture change awards at the large venues, either Minute Maid or Ford Field. So with that said, that's a long break in between and not a whole lot really to watch a couple matches. Now, in all due respect to the culture changing award teams that are going to win because they're going to be fantastic teams, and I feel bad even asking this question, but do you go? I mean, do you make the trek? Do you go across town to watch these couple matches to recognize these fantastic teams? Especially, you know, with Houston last year and kind of the nightmare that Minute Maid was. Clint, do you see yourself and your team going?
Listen, I don't know why you started with me, but absolutely.
I knew you'd have the best answer.
Unless my team is playing on Einstein in the finals, I will not be stepping foot inside Minute Maid Park. And the fact that they're putting the Culture Change Awards at the same time is tantamount to when they did it in 2011 and announced 359 as the Chairman's Award winners during the Fergie concert and then never even played the video. I mean, this is another misstep in the Houston Championship saga, and, like, absolutely no. I will never go to Minute Maid unless my team is playing in the final.
And I'm going to hop right on that same. I'm on that same one. I have no desire to go. I'm not going to Houston, but I have no desire to go to Ford Field to see these matches. Literally, I don't care. It's there's 4 million bars that I could go to and hang out with people and watch the matches and be just as good.
I mean, I was not in Houston last year, so I don't know how the drill is or how it specifically works, but I've heard some rumors. So I think I will go this year just to experience myself and see what happens and see if the rumors are true. Or maybe I should just follow your advice and go to a bar and watch the matches there.
Good luck, Anna. Good luck.
Well, I'm at a hard maybe right now. I kind of do want to go as well just to see, is it really that bad? But if everyone else is kind of just, let's go somewhere else, then I'll join them with that. Because, I don't think it would be nearly, I think it could be made fun still with the right people. But without that, then you might as well just go anywhere.
Yeah. I'm a minute. Personally, I was last year on Einstein, and it was a nightmare. I even saw like teams coming into the line. Well, there's a lot of stories. I think I will go to give it a second chance, but I can remember last year I was really exhausted, and if I am that exhausted at the end of the event before Einstein, I will not go.
Apparently, our friends in Mexico are way more forgiving than what the States people are. So.
Yeah, my bad.
Yeah,
we just have a lot of anger.
Yeah,
so
we're pretty angry people.
Here's my thing: is that for me, as part of fun and wanting to do media, I would love to be able to get good shots and good media and that sort of thing. But seeing some of the pictures from last year, there's no way I'm getting on the field for Einstein in the first place. And secondly, if I'm, even in the hospitality suite or something like that, I'm probably better off watching from a TV because it's so damn far away. So it's, I'm really curious, other than, maybe enjoying some first hospitality adult beverages while watching the championships. That might be the biggest motivation because, and it's sad to say, right? Because it is championships and it is the finals, and you really want to be excited about these fantastic teams competing on Einstein, but it's just not worth it to me. Like, I'll go for the camaraderie, and because there hopefully other people I know that are going to be there that I can hang out with, that sort of thing. Obviously, Clint won't be, but others possibly. So, with that,
I got you, Tyler. We'll go together.
Yeah, for sure.
This is supposed to be our most prestigious 2 matches or 3 matches in the entire season, and you are going to have an empty stadium. That is what you're going to have right now. You're looking at 5 total minutes of FRC action and over 45 minutes to get there. Nobody is going to go. This is an absolute nightmare on an FRC logistics side. I'm done.
and I think that's fair enough. I think we can wrap up with that, right? And let's move on because we do have 3 more divisions to go through as well. So speaking of that, Clint, now that we have all this negativity in here,
now we got to cover my division.
Perfect. What are you covering?
It's gonna be an angry division.
Yes, Newton is gonna be a very angry division this year. No, I'm just kidding. If you even have taken 30 seconds to scroll through divisions this year, you'll see in the new division we've got a list of team names that is just littered with perennial powerhouses and up-and-comers alike. Across all 6 Houston divisions, I'd say the Newton division probably has the strongest top end, and if you pair that with the decent middle tier that they have, I think whatever alliance ends up coming out of the Newton division, I think has an absolute fantastic chance of making the Einstein finals. Just a few quick division stats out of the 67 teams on the division. We have 34 regional wins. That's 11 more than any other division. Now, I know you'll say, oh, you just don't have that many district teams. Yeah, that's true. We have 4 district event wins and 1 district championship win, but 34 regional event wins. That's fantastic. 13 teams have won regional chairman's awards. 2 have won district chairman's award, and we have 8 rookie all-stars. This event is absolutely stacked. I mean, it's incredible. If you look at JC's chart, look at the divisions.co charts, whatever you want to look at, this division is stacked. With all these great teams, I obviously can't touch on them all. I'll try to do my best to touch on the top ones. But I'm gonna go through a little different strategy than some of the other ones. I'm gonna pick the 4 teams I think are gonna make out the top 2 alliances, and I'm not gonna do them in any particular order because I think any one of them could snag the top spot, and I think that the picking just could be in any random order. But in numerical order, I have Team 118, the Robotics, winners of the Dallas, Colorado, and Lone Star South regionals. They're competing in Newton for the 4th year in a row, and their past 3 championship runs include an Einstein finalist appearance last year, a world championship in 2015 with fellow Newton participant 1678. They've got a robot that's built for high-end scale play, and if they keep the stacks neat and maintain a consistent auto, they may find themselves holding a couple more blue banners at the end of the weekend. I mean, 118, what can you say about them? I mean, absolutely fantastic team. They're great people. The robot is fantastic. If you have the chance this weekend and you're down in Houston, definitely stop by their pit and take a look at their arm. It's the lightest, most structurally sound subsystem I think I've seen in FRC in a long time. It's definitely worth looking at. Another team that I think is going to do well, and this may be biased, but it may not be. I really don't like them that much. Team 1619, Upper Creek Robotics, winners at Hub City in Idaho and finalists at Colorado after losing to 118 the previous lock. They've been successful at grabbing extra RPs throughout quals all year, so I expect them to be a contender for the top seed this weekend. They've got to round out their autos and keep from dropping cubes on the scale to be successful this weekend. They played against 118 with 148 in some absolutely crazy finals matches in Colorado. They went on to Idaho, improved a few things, but then kind of maybe took some steps back. So we'll see where 1619 ends up this weekend in the Newton division. But I definitely think they'll be grabbing one of the 2 top spots.
Hey, Clint, being that you are on 1619, you might have some insider info for us. Are there any changes for 1619, or what have you guys worked on going to championships?
We've been doing quite a bit of driver practice and a lot of auto mode tuning. So many teams this year have been asking, 1678 changed their intake. Is 1619 going to change theirs? Spoiler alert, 1619 did not change their intake for championship. So we still are running that unconventional horizontal roller intake. But yeah, it's a lot of tweaking, a lot of just trying to get a little bit better at the scale placement game. If anybody has watched the Colorado matches, we dropped quite a few cubes, and we're looking at kind of improving that going forward. So moving on, the team most likely to edge out 1619 for the top spot, because I will say 1619 does have a great partner climber. They have a great support team to get those auto quest points. But 1678, the Citrus Circuits have probably the best chance of seeding number 1 in this division. I don't think that's a surprise to anybody. They did struggle a little bit at Utah with their partner climbing. They dropped a few robots, but they have made absolutely incredible improvements since then. Obviously, the Citrus service team, all of the kind of cheesecake support of Citrus in the past, and just their overall team is fantastic, and making sure that they're getting those extra RPs. They've got a decent schedule that's gonna maybe let them seed in the number 1 spot. They just got to avoid any kind of unanticipated losses. These guys have been absolute RP juggernauts all year, and after wins at Utah, Sacramento, and CVR, all 3 of their regionals as the top seed, they're definitely favorites to seed number 1 and probably favorites to win the division. All right, so I do have one more kind of lock, as you guys say, kind of a team that's very, very highly expected to be in the finals of the division. After an Einstein finalist run in St. Louis last year, 3310 Blackhawk Robotics has built a wicked fast cube scoring workhorse that's won both the Rock City and El Paso regionals as the top seed. Their collection is absolutely top tier. If you see their open field collection, I would be very surprised if you could find a team better. They own they just fantastic, and their driving, their cube collection, their scale placement, if you're not careful, within the first 10 seconds of the match, the Blackhawk will own both switches and the scale, no problem. Their partner climber isn't as brainless as maybe 1678 or 1619. There's maybe a little bit more lineup, so they haven't been quite as successful at the fourth RP. But, maybe they've, developed some way to coach their partners and work on that going forward. But I'm positive that they'll be ready to go this weekend, and they're guaranteed to be one of the 4 teams in the top 2 alliances, no questions asked.
Clint, I just want to bring up this video that he had me cue here. Like, what is this gangbang going on against 3310 down here in the lower corner?
3310 is so
crap.
good. They
Look at
pull
this.
all 3 opponents to play defense against them. That's how good 3310 is.
Oh my god.
Look at that.
Well,
They
just
have to pull all the blue alliance robots to play against them.
It's kind of all kinds of illegal, but whatever.
yeah,
Who cares? Blockading penalties, no problem.
red cards.
This is a casual
matter.
yellow card, whatever.
Bro, it's tactical.
I actually,
Paul is losing his whatever behind the glass, but they're generating value for the alliance at that point, right? Because now it's a 2v0 because 3 opponent robots neutralize 3310, and now 624 and whatever, who's their partner in this match, I forget, 5344 is free to do whatever they want on the field.
I actually want to add up. I got the opportunity to see 3310 this year at Arkansas. Their drivetrain is amazing. It's 4 Omni wheels, and that's the reason why they get so much speed. It's thanks to those Omni wheels and the friction that they can go so fast throughout the field, and they have an amazing drive team that has probably had a ton of hours on the robot, and it's the reason why they can drive so smoothly, that kind of drivetrain.
Nice shot picking the match where they tip over, by the way, too.
Yeah.
It's
that
strategic.
might have been just to knock them down a bit as we go to play against them this weekend. I don't know. Maybe it was just some kind of subtextual thing. I'm just kidding. I'm sorry, guys. That was not intentional. I love that 3 robots had to play defense against you, though. That's why I picked that clip. So those are my top 4 picks. I definitely think all 4 of those teams have an absolute fantastic chance of making the finals. A couple teams that might be in the hunt if they come out strong this weekend. Definitely 624, Kryptonite. They were winners at El Paso with 3310, winners at Lone Star with 118. They've got a strong scale bot that makes them a super attractive pick. They also have a background that's proven to be effective if their partner can get kind of lined up correctly. That's one thing that I did notice they struggled with. They've got these outrigger cables that go back to their ramp that teams kind of get caught up on a couple times. But if they can coach their partners correctly and get some good partners that can climb on them, I think they'll do very well. They've got a great scale game. And I expect them to rank, maybe top 6, despite the tough schedule they have. They do have a very tough schedule. They play against a lot of the top teams. So 624 Kryptonite, definitely one of my tips, as you guys call them. Another tip that I have, Team 971, a team that I never expect to tip in gameplay because their whole
I don't want you to say tip anymore. It makes me feel uncomfortable.
All right.
I'll like
All right. I'll move to a different word. A second tier robot, maybe. Team 971 Spartan Robotics, probably one of the most unique, successful robots in Power Up. They're double jointed arm, and they have that pincher end effector that transfers cubes from their collector. Just it's very nice when it works. A couple times I've seen they've had troubles with the handoff between the collector and the end effector. This team is going to be successful this weekend if they can smooth some of that stuff out, get their autos working very well. 971 is, perennial powerhouse team. Everybody knows their name. And I think they can be very successful this weekend if they get a few of their hangups sorted out. Another tip that second tier team that I have maybe, Team 3309, the Friar Bots, winners at the Aerospace Valley, and finalists at the Orange County Regional. Behind maybe 1678 and 1619, they have absolutely the most reliable partner climber. pair that with a scale game that's continually improved throughout the season. They've gone to 3 regionals so far. They're sure to find their way onto a competitive alliance. I think that these guys definitely need to be on teams' radar in the Newton division. I think they're going to be very successful, and they're definitely a threat for one of the top seeds. They do have a couple matches that might not go their way, but I'm definitely looking for the Firebots to do very well this weekend. Here's a couple of teams that may not have caught everyone's eye. Mainly, I'm going to say because of where they play. Maybe they were overshadowed by a couple of other teams, but they might not have caught everyone's attention. Team 968, they had a slow start in Utah. They looked really strong in LA and Ventura. They've been improving their scale game the whole time. They're another team that has this kind of roller collector intake to a pincher placer kind of thing, but it's very that whole strategy of a robot design is very effective when the scales start to get pretty tall, because you can very precisely place the cube on the stacks, and I think they'll definitely influence how the division plays out. Other bright ponies, as Tyler is now suggesting I call them, 1648, the Peachtree Championship winners. It's absolutely kind of an embarrassment to the FRC community that I have to call a 3-district winner and championship winner kind of a dark horse, but 1648 G3 Robotics is the only reason they're not a household name is because of where they play. This robot is absolutely fantastic at the scale work, and it will not surprise me when, not if, but when they upset one of the top tier teams this weekend.
Hot takes.
Just this robot is so good. It's an embarrassment that the FRC community has not recognized the effort they put in this year. But I'm super excited to see this team play, and I'm super excited that I think we get to play with them. So another kind of under the radar team I have is 4513. They were the winner of 2 PNW events. They definitely have a strong scale bot. They've got this elevator and 4-bar linkage collector that's fabulous, very precise placement, and I think they're going to do very well this weekend as well. So much love to the PNW teams out there. As far as predictions go, my predictions, and this is kind of corroborated from the 1619 analysis team back at the world headquarters at 950 South Sherman Street. We've got 1678 seating first, but just very narrowly over 1619. Actually, just a RP or maybe 2 over 1619. They're probably going to pick up their Einstein run partners from last season, Team 118, the Robonauts, and they'll end up facing off against 1619 and probably 3310 Blackhawk Robotics in the finals. It'll be a tight couple matches, but I think the top seeds will be able to move on to Einstein, and then, like I said earlier, the alliance that comes out of this event, I think is going to have a very good chance at making the finals on Einstein.
All right, so going into Roebling. According to OPR, Roebling is the weakest division at Houston, but OPR is garbage, so that's what it is. So to me, what this means is that there's no clear-cut division winner. While there are 2 or 3 top teams in Roebling, the mid-tier of Roebling, I think, is a bit deeper than some of the other divisions, so I had a really hard time narrowing down to just a handful of teams to talk about. So first, we're going to have fun with numbers. We have 20 event winners consisting of 3 districts, 1 district champion, and 16 regional winners. We have 3 teams with multiple event wins, 1323, 179, and 1983. And 33 of the 67 teams qualified on what I qualify as robot performance, which is regional wins, wild cards, or district points, as opposed to chairman's or rookie all-star or just getting in off the wait list. So I'm going to go locks first. And so my number 1 lock in the division is going to be it's got to be Team 1323. They have yet to lose a match this year, same as 254, and they've actually won 2 more matches than 254 has. So they're at a perfect 32-0 on the season. They're the clear favorite heading into Houston. They have 2 regional wins, a blazing fast swerve drive that's just incredible to watch. They have a variety of multi-cube autos, including a pretty consistent 3-cube switch auto. and then a few scale autos, and they have a ramp for climb assist to help with those extra RPs. Definitely the favorite coming in. They're just if you watch them drive, it's just so impressive, and they don't have a lot of the issues that some of the other fast swerve teams that we've talked about, like 29, 10, or 16, like the issues they have where they drive too fast for their own good. 1323 does not have that issue. They seem to have it completely locked in. My second lock is Team 179, Children of the Swamp from down in Florida. They're the other multi-regional winner in this division, taking home gold at Orlando and South Florida. They have an Iron Cross style climb, and this will be key for securing that number 1 seed over the rest of the field. They're highly efficient with the ability to score on either side of their robot that assists in their multi-cube switch scale autos. Their major issue that I see is that they have a slight tendency to drop cubes like into themselves, and then it's basically game over for the rest of the match. So this like this match that Tyler has queued up at one point, they do 1 point later in the match, they do drop a cube into themselves, and then it's just game over and sad face for everyone. So hopefully they'll have figured something out to block that from happening to themselves, because that could easily kill them in the division if they're able, if you lose in a division like this, you lose one match and it's game changer. Then probably my final lock is going to be Team 1983. The Skunks are back. After a down year in 2017, Skunkworks came back with a vengeance, winning 2 district events and putting on very strong showings at the Idaho Regional and then the PNW District Champs. They have a great gatherer, very skilled at placing cubes precisely on the second level, which is going to be key. This will be key when the playoffs come around. They seem to have yet to fully dial in their double climb. It exists, but I don't know if they've hit it in a match yet. I wasn't able to find one where they successfully did it. If they can't get that worked out, then that's going to hurt them a lot in the rankings, because they won't be able, because they take up so much space when they're trying to do the double climb. It's going to make it hard for people to climb beside them. However, their scale and switch play will make them a first pick in the division for sure, no matter where they rank. Next, I didn't call them tips. I just called them teams in the conversation. So my first one, they were almost one of my locks. I went back and forth on Team 1730, Team Driven. Team Driven has a good gatherer, very smart drivers. I noticed they're phenomenal at switching between scale, switch, and exchange play as the game necessitates. This keeps them in play at any given match. They're adaptable. They fight to win in every match. They're not afraid to switch up what's happening. So that's why I almost moved them up into my locks, because even though they're not quite as fast as some of the other teams, they're fantastic at adapting to what they need to do. A couple other teams of note. 3476, Code Orange, has had some issues at their regionals with various, they've had mechanical failures, they've had robot issues, a couple different things that sort of broke on them, but hopefully they're going to have those worked out and be locked in for champs. Their climb assist forks look like some of the easiest to drive onto in the division, and this combined with a solid placement ability for cubes will make them a contender for one of the top seeds on the division for sure.
Yeah, PJ, I agree with you there. I think Code Orange has a really good opportunity to seed well. I mean, they were the first event at Orange County, they were ranked second, and then at Aerospace Valley, they were ranked fifth, so definitely up in contention. And I think with some unfortunate circumstances, kept them out of getting that blue banner. But I think they're going to get those fixed, and I'm looking for Code Orange to make a deep run personally.
Yes, for sure. Another one in my sort of second tier is 3646 Integra. Integra has had some hiccups throughout this season, but they're looking to put that behind them after a regional win at SBPLI 1 early last week. They have a fantastic intake. Like, they can pick up cubes really easily, but their elevator speed is lacking. They're very slow when it comes to placing, and that's going to kill them at the highest levels of play. So if they can't speed something up, they're going to need to, they're going to get knocked out early. They'll have an early exit on Saturday. My final, so I guess we'll go second tier team, whatever we're calling them, is 4188, coming from the Peachtree District. Another team that hasn't quite gotten the recognition, sort of like what Clint was saying earlier, where the Peachtree teams, like because they sort of live in isolation and it's not a district everybody talks about, they are hurting for recognition. But the Columbus Space Program actually is tied with Skunkworks for most matches played this year. With 68 matches played, this is more than double teams like Madtown and Swamp. So this extra stick time is definitely going to help them at champs. They have they're moderately speed and are very good on the scale. Very solid on the second level. One of the more consistent second level teams that I saw. I can see them sliding under the radar a bit, potentially being on the 5th or 6th alliance. But that's not necessarily the worst place to be. And then because that'll get them a solid third bot and they'll be able to pull off some upsets. A couple other notable teams just on the division: 2383, the Ninjaneers, 4522, Team Scream, 3316 Debug out of Israel, 2352 Metal Mayhem, 5472 Stallion Robotics. Those are all right around in this. They're all going to be in the mix come division time too. And then finally, my dark horse coming out of Canada, 6390 Hephaestus. They're slow but precise. At their one regional this season, actually, they were the winner of the event. They won the EI award and got the Woody Flowers finalist award and Dean's List finalist awards. So this team has a lot going for them. So yeah, they were a chairman's award away from the perfect event, and they got EI as a consolation prize. If they could, but they do have issues with speed. But if they could push some more speed out of their drive and their elevators, they'll truly be a force to be reckoned with. Because they play smart, they're very precise with their movements, but they just need a little more speed to play at this level. Anyone have any comments about Roebling?
Can you say 6390's name again?
6390?
Yeah.
Hephaestus?
Hephaestus?
I think actually PJ said it right. I'm not sure.
It's an
Do
A.
you guys remember last year, the FTC team on Einstein last year was Rise of Hephaestus?
Well, fun fact.
And I used to call it Rise of Asbestos.
Yeah, but fun fact: this team, I believe, is connected to that FTC team. I think.
Oh no way! Really?
I think they're in the same.
Then Dan Paul has the name right. Yeah.
I believe so, if I remember correctly. Like this is like they're in the same family of like team of people. I think they use the FTC team to feed into this FRC team, which is why it sort of came out of nowhere. And like even though they're a 6,300 team, they're getting EIs, they're getting Woody Flowers, they're getting D's List finalists, they're winning. So I believe that they're connected.
What's the follow up? If anybody in chat knows, let us know. Yeah.
Yes.
All right. Well, anything else in Roebling? All right. Last but certainly not least, we have the Turing division. Featured in Turing, we have a lot of amazing Pacific Northwest teams that might often get overlooked, as well as some strong West Coast vibes. Turing also features the largest amount of industrial design awards, coming in at 13, so hopefully we won't see too many robots breaking down. Without further ado, let's talk about some teams. Hopefully, there will still be some broken robots, but... All right, locks. When I say locks, I mean these are the teams that are going to be fighting for that first seeds. Odds are these guys will be in the top spots at the end of matches on Friday, and with one of them, ideally in that number 1 position. First up, 842 Falcon Robotics. A fairly old Hall of Fame team. I actually didn't know they were in Hall of Fame until today, but their win record in previous years has been a bit sparse. But the stars aligned, and they created one amazing robot this year. You know you're good when the Cheesy Poofs were feeding you cubes at the first event. Like, that's the level that they're playing at right now. I expect this team to absolutely dominate the scale and be either ranked 1 or the first seed's top pick. Seriously, they are amazing. The best part about their robot is it is so incredibly simple, and the simplicity works. I know they had a 4-cube auto video they showed, but we'll see if it happens. I mean, I've seen a lot of videos work in the shop, but then when you go to a competition... less so. So
as a scouting and strategy mentor, the things that I always told my students was if it didn't happen on the field, it didn't happen in real life.
Exactly. And yeah, no, that's exactly true. So we'll see. I think it could work, but we don't know. Anyway, I expect 842 Falcon Robotics to soar above the competition. Get it?
Ooh.
All right.
That's boo.
Moving on, we got 2046 Bare Metal, another Pacific Northwest team. I actually hadn't heard of them before last year, and I noticed they got an Einstein, and so I looked them up, and they absolutely dominated last year. So ever since then, I've been keeping my eye on them and can say with authority that these guys are the real deal. There are very few awards that they haven't won at some point in this season, and they will be ready to bear whatever competition comes their way.
God, are you like this every week?
Thankfully, no.
That's
right.
why he's not allowed on Best of the West, Clint.
Yes, you will continually be not allowed on Best of the West.
Who says I want to be? North is where it's at. All right. 2471, Team Mean Machine, yet another Pacific Northwest team. And when I saw the reveal video a while back, I thought there was a noticeable increase in quality from their past years. The robot's incredibly well designed, and with 3 Blue Banner wins, one of which being the Pacific Northwest Championship, the proof speaks for itself. They showed off a 4-cube auto as well, but again, I'm hesitant. We'll see. Just a perfect any side 3-cube auto would suffice, honestly, and it will give this team a mean chance at winning the competition.
Stop that right now.
All right.
5,000 bits and he'll stop. That's what they're saying.
Yep. 5,000 bits and I will stop.
All right. How do I buy bits?
All right. 2122 Team Taters. I might be biased because I love Team Taters so much, but having a 2-year Einstein streak is nothing to sneeze at. They've won 2 events this year, and they were only finalists to the Poofs. These guys know how to play the game. They have a solid 2-cube auto, and I suspect we'll see a consistent 3 by champs. These guys are definitely a well-seasoned team.
God.
Come on, chat, make it stop.
That does not make it.
Well, I don't know if it's French fries, maybe.
Of the set.
Yeah, no, it's like you season like a baked potato or you season fries. It makes sense.
Not if you're from Idaho.
If
you
you
just
have
eat
to explain
potatoes.
if you have to explain it, it's not a good pun.
No, there was subtlety. The clever people will understand it, and they'll be like, "Ooh, I gotcha."
Can we get some dead robots in the chat? Thank you.
All right, I'm actually done with the puns. I wrote 4 and thought these were very bad, so I didn't keep it going. So you're all welcome, but still give 5,000 bits. Next up are my top picks. These teams show incredible potential to either be high ranks or first alliance partners. These teams will not include anyone already considered a lock because I already mentioned them. So you don't need 2 mentions. All right, so first up at the number 6 position, I have 1102 Macon Magic. They won 2 regionals this year after having never won an event before, and these guys are going to proudly represent Georgia at Houston. They're definitely a great team, and I see these guys being an alliance captain or maybe a mid-range first pick. Next up is 2130 Alpha Plus. Falling in the shadows of 2122 this year, losing to them in the finals of both their events. But there's no shame in that. The Taters are pretty great, so I see a possibility of them slipping through the cracks, even though they're an amazing team. So be sure to watch out for these guys. I was going to put
I've never heard of this team before. Can you? I mean, I know you said they faced off against Taters both times, but that team does not ring a bell to me, and that's kind of odd.
Alpha Plus is kind of like the second best Idaho team, but the problem is like nobody talks about them because everybody just talks about 2122.
It took Taters to be on Einstein for like 3 years in a row for people to talk about them. So
exactly.
Welcome to the mountain region, folks. That's how it goes here.
Yeah.
2130 is a great team. We were with the Taters when we played against them in the finals at Idaho. They're a good team. They know what they're doing. They structured their alliance well to get into the finals from their the number 3 spot.
They're amazing.
Yeah, they're a really good team.
Yeah, they're hurt by location in that they generally only do 1 regional a year. I think this is one of the first years where they've done 2. So that's always hurt them in recognition as well. Because like if you weren't watching the 1 regional that because usually I'd say they're a consistent semifinals bot pretty much throughout their history. But with a couple event wins peppered in. But if you're not watching that 1 regional they go to, you're never going to see them.
Yeah, exactly. And yeah, there's no prize for being the second best team. And
There's a wild card.
I mean,
Now
okay.
Everyone gets
All
wild
right.
cards these days.
Used to be a prize
Yeah.
for being the second best team.
Yeah, no, they definitely deserve some recognition. Next up, we got in my number 4 placement, we got 1538, the Holy Cows, another Hall of Fame team, and they have a beautiful robot this year. Very simple, like 842, and they're a well-experienced team, and I'm willing to bet these guys are going to be a very high first pick. They're pretty great. All right, so next 3 are my tippy-top teams. If they aren't on the top 4 alliances come elimination, then something must have gone horribly wrong.
Oh dear.
Coming in at number 3 is a team from North Carolina, Triple Strange 1533. These guys are killing it this year, winning every event they went to. They have an incredibly nice swerve drive, and their climber, everything together, it's going to put them on the list, high on the list for any top team. Seriously, check these guys out. Number 2 is 987, the High Rollers. I'm not sure if I ranked them too high, but having gone to Einstein the previous 2 years and being a recent Hall of Fame team, I'm going to say they're looking pretty good. Their H drive was definitely an interesting choice this year, but their drivers are top notch with it, and they've been making it work. They also have a history with 2122, having gone to Einstein with them last year, and 842, having won an event with them this year. So they have a wide reach in the division, and I definitely see them going far.
So I feel like I'm bashing on my friends here, but I actually definitely disagree with you. I do not think 987 is the second best robot in this division. They have a good robot, but their consistency is just not there yet. I hope it gets there. And this is my opinion. And I was at Las Vegas. I emceed that event. And watching them in person, I mean, they have all the makings to be a division winner. But to me right now, for what they're going at, I don't see them being picked until about the 3rd or 4th robot in the division right now. And that's my personal way.
I mean,
Tyler, the last time you saw them was what, week 4?
That's true.
That's what, 5 weeks ago now? 4 weeks? Sorry, that's
not 5 weeks ago.
Not 5 weeks ago. That is 3 weeks ago, I guess.
And I mean, yeah, no, it's been, yeah, they've had some time, and I mean, I didn't think they were going to be an Einstein team last year either, but they made it happen. I mean, granted, 6090 broke, blah, 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 but like they win and they know how to get things done. So, well, maybe not the best or second best robot at the event, but when you think about all the other aspects of strategy, teams, things like that, then I think they can definitely take that spot.
And that's a fair point as well.
All right. And number 1 on my list of top teams, drum roll, please.
You get nothing.
Well, you got it on the drum roll, but not on the puns, Clint? Come on.
Yeah, I mean, that is...
I'm sorry,
anyway,
who was it?
Either way. 1806 SWAT. After having a driver change after their first regional, they really pushed themselves into high gear. Fun fact, they actually changed drivers after Karthik did an analysis of their first regional, and they were like, damn, he's right, we need to do better. So they completely changed it up. They got a new driver, and they've been doing great. As long as they execute well, there's no way that they don't end up being a sought after team. I mean, yeah, I think they definitely have the highest potential. They definitely need to execute well, but they're a jack of all trades, I would say, this year, and they're able to do any task pretty effectively. And I suspect they will have some great improvements come champs as well. So definitely look out for them. So there we have it with the top teams in the Turing division. Lastly, I want to go over some dark horses that should get attention. 5584, IC Robotics, are all the way from the land down under, and they have a great robot that could easily get overlooked. They were finalists in the Australian regional, I believe. They're a pretty high number team, so I kind of suspect them to get overlooked a little bit. Next up, 7179 Crossfire. You may know them as the zippy switch bot from Texas, because that's what they do best. They're a little bit easy to shut down with some light defense, but if they're left to their devices, they will wreak havoc on your Switch and your dreams.
I'm so glad they made champs.
Yeah, they definitely deserve it.
It'll be interesting to see the play of a Switch robot to see if it is actually viable, because they could fall in that. They could either fall in the trap or the beauty of like being a 6 through 8 on the way back around, but that actually could work out really well for them at the same time, because they could get 2 decent scale bots and just absolutely dominate the Switch. And actually, that could be an upset in the making right there, guys.
Yeah, that's what.
100% agree.
Yeah, you get it on the right alliance, and because it's you get the best Switch bot in the division, right? Like I think there's almost no question 7179 is one of the best Switch bots in the division, if not one of the best in the world on the Switch. And so you get 2 of your sort of lower tier teams. I can't remember, somebody like maybe like 1102 and 2130 together, and then add in Crossfire. That's a scary alliance.
It seriously is, yeah. And like 7179, they can do other strategies too. They can do some cube feeding. They can play the vault. That's what it's called, right? Yeah.
Exchange, but yeah.
Yes,
exchange.
welcome to the game, Dan.
Listen, it's been a long time since I read the manual. But yes, so like they have a lot of versatility to them. They're zippy, they're quick, they're small. I think they could definitely do some good work. Next up is 6445 C-Tech Robotics, another high number team that might get overlooked. They looked very good and should not be forgotten. Lastly is 3478, a team from Mexico that is looking good, and they might surprise a bunch of you. I'm sure one of my other hosts can probably say more about them.
3478 is probably right now the team we've been following the most of Mexico. It's probably the most consistent robot in Mexico right now, and their intake is amazing. I personally don't like their drivetrain. I'm not a fan of Mecanum drivetrains, but I think they have a great robot. They've been doing lots of practice, cube placement. Their driver has been, I saw some videos the other day. They're just literally putting the cubes really well organized on the scale and practices. And I think a big addition that they're going to be adding this year is going to, well, for this Houston Champs, is it seems they're finally going to get their lift mechanism to lift all their robots functional. So it's going to be really interesting on the division to see how they rank up. And I don't know if you want to add something about the Lambats, your ex.
Yeah, I mean, I'm really excited for them. And so far, I've talked to some of the team members, and they're like, this is the best robot so far we've built. So I think they've learned a lot from past seasons, and they are ready. I think they have seen a lot about strategy-wise and robot-wise. So, yeah, I'm just a huge fan of this team.
Yeah, we're going to make it to Einstein. I'm calling it right now.
Ooh, bold predictions.
Yes.
I mean,
going on record.
Yeah, like all Mexico right now, it's a huge fan of Lambert, or well, at least I want to think it's like a huge phenomenon, Lambert today. It's like Lambert is just doing so great, and they create like all these memes, and like right now, even just
social media.
A Lambert t-shirt, it's like so like worth so much money, I guess, right now in Mexico because the teams here in Mexico are crazy about this team. So, yeah, like I think that all the Mexican teams will be watching at least Lambert. Yeah.
It's funny you mentioned that one part about how the shirts are so valuable. I was talking to a friend from Titanium the other day, and apparently Israel teams love Titanium. I don't know why, but like my friend has almost every Israeli team shirt because they all just wanted to trade with them. I don't know why.
We need to start a black market for this.
Yes.
Yes.
This is Fun's new revenue model, actually.
All right, I am now selling all 1619 shirts for $50 a piece.
Nobody wants your shirts, Clint.
Delphi, Instagram, whatever.
I mean, maybe your polo. Maybe your polos.
Ooh.
Those are nice.
I'll hit you up, Dan. No problem.
Hey. All right.
Okay.
Yeah. All right. I think we've hit the limits.
Yes.
All right. So those were all the dark horses. It's might be hard to remember, but we were talking about dark horses at the beginning of this.
Yeah, I forget what division was this even. I don't even.
Yeah, exactly.
Good thing it's scrolling on the bottom of the screen.
All right.
I don't know how to read, Tyler.
Well,
Yeah, Tyler.
that'll happen.
No, Turing is super strong, guys. I mean, do not sleep on this division.
For sure. It doesn't have the name recognition of Newton, but it has the teams.
100%. Agree.
Yep.
So with that said, guys, we want to thank everybody for being on. We are never going to be able to catch every single team on here. So if you feel snubbed, you know what? Just talk about it. And we want to hear about your team. Like I said, we can never catch everyone, but I want to thank Anna, PJ, Dan, Clint, and Lino for doing an awesome job of taking the time to break down divisions and give some awesome insight. And I also want to thank Jossie as well for providing us some of our graphs. She will make those available later on too. So if you like some of that information that was up there, we'll have that hopefully publicly available. And don't forget, we do have a Detroit preview show next week as well. So I do want to thank everybody who's watched here tonight, guys. That's going to wrap us up. Hey, you know what? Thank you to everybody who has subscribed. Thank you for the bits. Don't forget that 99-cent bit sale going on. You can give us $5 for 99 cents. It's a pretty awesome deal. So thank you, everybody who has done that, as we rely on your support to keep making shows and content. Thank you to all of our subscribers. And guys, if you can't do that, that's cool. Just tell people to come watch our stuff as well. With that said, we will invite you to come meet up with us, by the way, at least in Houston. Most of us will be at the Alumni Mixer on Thursday night at Houston. So if you want to meet a lot of us and a lot of the hosts that are in fun at Houston, go ahead and do the Alumni Mixer. We'll let you know what's going on for Detroit. It might be the same thing as well.
Yeah, I'll say there's an Alumni Mixer Thursday night as well that I would assume we're going to try to.
Yeah, that's probably a good call. And we'll keep reminding you. But, hey, guys, we'd love to talk to you, too. So just come up and talk to us and let us know that you watch our shows. And we want to talk to you about it. Let us know what we can do better, because we always want to keep improving as well. So on behalf of myself and all of our great guests here today, I want to thank you for tuning in. Thanks to all of our moderators in chat. We do have Finalysis tomorrow starting at 8 p.m. Eastern, and the FRC Top 25 for the Houston at 9 p.m. Eastern. So if you want to see if your team landed up in the top 25 teams for Houston, make sure you tune in at 9 p.m. tomorrow. With that said, thank you, everybody, for tuning in. We'll see you next time on First Updates Now. Talk to you then.